so that's kind of the development of a play and its journey. What about the journey you're on right now? What about the projects?
Yeah, that's so different. So, in 2009, the Chicago Community Trust, which is the largest philanthropic organization in Chicago, commissioned me to develop a piece on public housing. Initially I was like, I'm not from Chicago, and it's really an African-American story. I mean, the predominantly African-American story. Of course, there are Caucasian and Latinos and all races in public housing, but really the Chicago story is so much an African-American story. And I really wrangled with that for a while, but talking to some colleagues, and I think my own fear about it was telling me, like, this is actually something you should do. So then we essentially interviewed over 100 former and current residents of public housing, city officials, police, scholars, and to try to create a real complex and three-dimensional portrait of what happened with public housing in Chicago. So, we've massed probably 3,000 pages of transcripts from all those interviews, and so all the interviews are transcribed and then edited, and then we sort of lay them out in a storyboard of sorts. And then we have to go and theatricalize the material. So we do that through a workshop process. We've done two workshops at the Orchard Project in the Catskills, amazing opportunities we've had. We've gone to Scotland and ended up workshopping and doing presentations of the play, as well as interviewing folks in social housing, their version of public housing in Glasgow. And then what brought me out to Wyoming is that I received a Jentel Foundation residency to be here for a month. And it was really at perfect timing. The residency is right before we go into rehearsals. And we just spent 5 weeks in Washington, D.C. at Howard University workshopping the play with students. It was a really extraordinary process. The play incorporates quite a bit of body and vocal percussion, as well as stepping, which is an African-American dance tradition that comes out of fraternity and sorority culture at Black universities, not only Black universities, but it came out of that tradition. And so we've incorporated quite a bit of stepping and movement into the show. So working at Howard, which has a huge history of stepping and rich in these traditions, it was just a tremendous opportunity. We learned quite a bit about the play there, and what we really needed to do was have an opportunity to do this writing and shaping of the script in addition to workshopping some of the materials. So
after that workshop, you needed to take that and have
yeah,
time to do something.
yeah. I mean, essentially we did the first 2 acts of the 3-act play, and the third act had changed so much that while Jentel was perfect for the time away and the focus to do this in such a beautiful environment, finding, a partnership to workshop the material seemed, I don't know if that's going to happen in Wyoming. And then that's how I got introduced to you and Sheridan College, and it was just like a perfect match to be able to be working on the play in such a great place, but also in the evenings be able to workshop the material. So it was a blessing, and it's been great. So we've been here 3 weeks, and 2 of those weeks have been workshopping with students and some wonderful community actors, and it was just been a great experience. I mean, it's a treat to be able to generate material and then rush it downtown and get a chance to workshop it. It's really special. And I think what's also fascinating about the journey of this play, play set in the South Side, very challenging neighborhoods in the South Side of Chicago, to be able to go to places like Scotland and Wyoming and see the play's relevance. And this group of students and community actors that, have had zero experience with any of this, and to be able to play these characters that are real people that live, they are alive, and have gone through some really challenging things, to be able to sort of empathize with them by stepping into their shoes, I think has been I imagine there's been a really rewarding process, just, on a humanitarian level, just in that sense. But for us, artistically, it's been really exciting. And also, I think the thing to say is that people know very little of the story of Chicago's public housing here. So it was a great test of what was accessible in the material, or what was too dense and was like, now, it's too finite a point, we don't need that, we can get rid of it. So it's done everything we hoped it needed to do. So I'm very grateful.